Okay, welcome to Math 31, Section 2.4, Multiplying and Dividing Integers. Multiplying and dividing of positives and negatives is actually quite easy, and the reason it's simple is that there's rules that are ironclad here, and in other words, there's not exceptions. And the rules are also simple. If you're either multiplying or dividing, and your signs match, for instance, a negative times another negative, you'll get a positive answer. If there's a mismatch in the original signs, then you should get a negative answer. You'll get a negative answer each time. Okay, so we're going to let me get things set up here. We're ready to go here. Okay, so on the first example here, example A, your signs match. They're both negative. We got a negative 3 times a negative 7. Positive answer, 21. Okay, on example B, you got a negative times a positive. You have a mismatch in signs, so that's a negative answer. On C, you're just going to take those same rules, but you apply it to each pair of numbers. So the first pair here, since the signs match, will give 12. The next pair of numbers match, so that's also positive, 72. And now we have a mismatch, a positive times a negative, and that's where we get a negative answer. 0 times any number gives 0. Okay, examples E and F are all about exponents. And it's important to know that you have to treat these differently when they have a set of parentheses around the base and when they don't. The base on the first one here, example E, is actually just the 3. So we're not going to be multiplying that negative over and over again. It's just the 3 that gets multiplied repeatedly. And the first pair gives negative times positive would be negative 9. Then we get negative 27. And finally, negative 81. Now, another way to kind of visualize this is to pair it up. That's 9, and 3 times 3 is also 9. 9 times 9 would be 81, and this negative that's in front would change the sign. Now, compare that with example F. In this problem, you're squaring, in other words, you're multiplying the negative 5 times itself. The negative is part of what is the base, what is being repeatedly multiplied. So here you do have a negative times a negative, and you get 25. The division rules work the same way. Signs are matching on the first one, so we're going to get a positive 4. 0 divided by any number, I'll come back to H. Let's do I. On example I, you have mismatched signs, a positive and a negative. So you're going to get a negative answer, and 32 divided by 8 would give 4, so a negative 4 is your answer. All right, H and J cause quite a bit of confusion. 0 divided by any number is predictably 0. It just gives 0 for an answer. But when you try and divide by 0, you get no solution at all. It's undefined. You can't even do it. So somebody says, so the answer is 0. No, that's not the answer. It's undefined. There is no answer. Now this could be written with a 0 on the bottom, and both of these are undefined, having a 0 behind the division sign or a 0 underneath. Now the little mnemonic device is a 0 on top is okay, but a 0 on the bottom, no way. Okay, on examples K and L, we're going to be, actually K through N, we're going to be doing a bunch of multiplication here, so we'll just take it step at a time. On the first one here, you get a positive times a negative, and that'll give a negative. In this case, negative Oh, I got ahead of myself there. That's okay. That's negative 18 times 4 times negative 12. And you can see that I've already set up the next one here. 18 times 4 is 72, but this has got a negative here and a positive there. So we want a negative 72. Okay, the last set here is negative times negative, and it gives positive, so you're going to get positive 864. Okay, on example L, you take 16 times negative 2, and I believe I have those calculations here. And then negative 32 times 0, which gives 0, and 0 times 8 also gives 0. So the answer to that problem is 0. Okay, on example M, we have mismatched signs, a negative times a positive. So we know our answer is going to be negative. The magnitude of the answer would be 1728, so it's actually negative 1728. All right, the calculations on the next one, I'll show those first. And since it's a negative number there times, it's a negative times a negative, you're going to get a positive answer here. So it's positive 1820. Okay, moving right along here. What we're supposed to do in this problem is find the value of AB. And when you put two letters next to each other in an algebra class, for instance, AB means A times B, so we're supposed to be multiplying this value A times this value B. And the signs are both the same, so we will get a positive answer here. So let me write it all out here. Negative 26 times negative 38, and matching signs, you're going to get 988 in this problem. Okay, I kind of made hash out of that. Let me rewrite that 8. All right, next one here. There's actually two things you're supposed to find. Find the product xy, in other words, multiply x times y, and then the quotient x over y, or x divided by y. So to start out with here, we're going to multiply negative 18 times 6. I've got the calculations prepared over here. That's 108. The signs mismatch, so it's really negative 108. So you have to stop and, after you've done the calculations, decide whether your answer is positive or negative. Now on the next one here, you're going to take negative 18 for x divided by 6. Mismatch signs, you get a negative answer. Okay, on example Q, part A, we're supposed to multiply these numbers here, negative 24 times 0, and that's an easy answer, 0. Any number times 0 always gives 0. And on the next one, you're supposed to take the x value of negative 24 and divide it by 0, and that can't be done. This is undefined. Now, if the 0 were on top instead of on the bottom of the fraction, we would say we have an answer, and the answer is 0. But when you have a 0 on the bottom, it's always undefined. Okay, we're supposed to find the quotient of negative 36 and 4. Quotient means divide, so it's really negative 36 divided by 4. Could just as easily be written like this, and usually it is in an algebra class. The signs are mismatched, so here you get negative 9. The negative comes from the mismatched signs. These rules, by the way, only apply to multiplying and dividing. Okay, on example S here, we're supposed to find the product of negative 36 and negative 3. So what we're going to do here is, first of all, do the calculations. And you get 108. So let's see what we get here. Negative 36 times negative 3. The signs match, so we're going to get a positive 108. All right, we're getting close here. We've got a couple more pages to do. Here you're just supposed to write down the expression. And the word difference means subtraction. So this would be 18 minus x Anytime you see this a number, you're going to put an X. Sum means add, so you're going to be adding X and -6. Now you don't want to just do it that way because you've got competing signs here. The plus and the negative sign is very confusing, so you want to either write it like that, or it is legitimate, although not usually done in a math class, to put a little negative up high. So both of those are legitimate ways of writing that answer. Okay, multiply a number by -3. Once again here, you don't want to say times with a dot in this case, because you've got the times and the negative sign competing with each other. You're better off instead to say either x times -3 using the parentheses style multiplication, or you can turn it around on multiplication and write it -3x. Okay, the quotient of a number and -18. Quotient means divide, so the number divided by -18, or you can write it, and this is actually better, like this. All right, we're down to a few more problems and we'll be done with this section. Here, what we have to know is the order in which to do stuff. Okay, so I'm going to be going through it in the following order. I'll do the subtraction, and then I'll do the exponent, and then I'll do the multiplication that's here and the other multiplication that's there, and finally that subtraction. So that's the order that the operations have to be done in. And in the meantime, you should write down everything you haven't been working on. So we're going to do the parentheses first. 8 minus 3 is 5. Exponents come next, and so when it says 2 to the third, it's 2 times 2 times 2, which gives 8. Multiplications are done before subtraction. So our answer here, the correct answer is 22. Okay, one last one here, example Y. I think it is. Let's see, is there any more? Yeah, this will be the last one here. The order that we have to do it in is parentheses first, then division, and finally subtraction. So that's the order you have to do these in. And we're going to start by copying down everything that we're not working on. Okay, 2 take away 6 is -4. Division happens next. And 16 divided by -4 is -4. Change the subtraction to adding the opposite, and our final answer here will be 24. Okay, so I sincerely hope that this helps you as you're trying to finish the homework for section 2.4, and that you'll spend the time to really learn the multiplication rules for positive and negative numbers.